And then sometimes I wish you never had. It just becomes overwhelming. You end up being the bottleneck, answering all the questions and basically pushing the thing along with nobody in your team seeming to be able to work independently and relying on you to make every decision. Or maybe you're rolling out a new piece of software, or you're trying to check out a new app or try something big. And what you thought would be a small manageable project turns into something chaotic, and you end up dropping it after weeks or months at a total loss to your business. I used to do exactly the same thing. And over the years, I've created a system to allow us to be much more structured about how we go about choosing which projects we take on, and about how we break those projects down into manageable chunks and then create sub projects in order to actually roll out key features of whatever it is we are trying to implement. I'm going to talk you through that process today in order for you to take advantage of it in your business. Okay, so I touched on this back in episode 35, where I discussed something called the project vision board. And we're now going to talk about a specific use case for this in order to take on bigger projects and get your team on board initially, get them to do a lot of the initial hard work for you, and then to create mini projects off the back of it, which give you something deliverable, something valuable, something tangible. So that even if you can't complete the whole project in one sitting, you still get something of value into your company, which gives people a sense of achievement and also allows you to actually regain or reclaim some of the costs of the resources gone into actually setting it all up. This vision board is something that I've not come up with the idea, but it's something I've adapted over the years to fit small and micro businesses. It's simply a document where you go through and decide and discuss with your team what it is the project's about, who's involved, what the benefits are, what problems does it solve, and then to actually come up with solution specifics and your vision for the entire project. I've heard many other influencers and business leaders talk about a very similar thing. I listened to a podcast by Russell Brunson not so long ago where he was talking about coming into a room, dumping his vision for a project and letting the team get on with it. And that's exactly what this is about. Communicating effectively what it is you want people to do, what the outcome is going to be, and how that success will be measured allows people to work far more independently. But it's not to say you just go, go and figure it out yourself and come up with a solution. You're going to have ideas. You're going to have thought about this stuff before you kick it off. And so therefore, you might as well share what you know in order to get them started. The example I'm going to work through is actually a really useful example for many, which can be used multiple times in your business. And it's about when you find a great book, which we all do as entrepreneurs, we read a lot. I can't think of a good word to say. You read a lot, but the problem is there's so many good ideas in those books that you really want to implement in your business, but because you're the person that's read it, you're left trying to communicate that secondhand knowledge into your company. And what you find, if you're anything like me, is that what you thought, the ideas you thought you totally grasped when you were reading the book, when you try and teach them to other people, you realize you haven't got the vast experience and knowledge that the person who wrote the book has got. And so therefore, you're not really in a good place to be teaching the stuff and getting it done in your business. So this technique is about finding a great book. And this example is It's Okay to Manage Your Boss. It's a great book for compelling your team to be far better at getting you to give them what they need in order to do the job to a high level. It's a brilliant concept. And especially for someone like me who's got an ADHD brain, then it allows them to help me to actually be a better boss and be more focused and give them the information they need at the right time, and also to provide them with the resources they need to get the job done. So this process is about taking that book and turning it into actual implementable parts of our daily routine. We want to not just read the book and think this is a great idea. We want it to actually impact the way I work on a daily basis. So I created a vision board for this. I went through and I said, what is my vision for this? The vision for this is we want to make it to work. I'll read it to you now. We want to make our work better, easier, and less stressful. We believe there's room for us to work smarter and to get more done. We're going to use the book How to Manage Your Boss as our guide. We plan to do this by setting up clear rules about who does what and how we work together. We aim to make sure that everybody has what they need to do their job well. This includes clear goals and all the tools and knowledge and resources needed. We want everyone to feel confident they're doing the right thing at the right time and that their work is going to be useful and valued. Our aim is to stop wasting time and getting frustrated because of confusing or missing information. We've already got loads of good things in place and we now just need to organize them better. In simple words, we want to make our work smarter, not harder, and make sure everybody knows the part they're making of making that happen. So this is the vision. That is what I'm hoping to achieve. That for any project should be the first thing you come up with. If you can't articulate the reason you want to actually do something in your business, whether it's setting up a new website, doing a marketing campaign, using a new piece of software, creating a new piece of content, whatever it is, if you can't convince yourself of it by creating a vision, then it's not worth doing. Your team's not going to get on board with it, and therefore you should probably not do it. So once you create that vision, though, we can then break this down and do a bit more thought work on this to see, is this actually a project that's worthwhile investing time and effort into? We have business objectives. So does this project, is it in line with our company's vision? Is it in line with our company's values? Does it get us nearer to our 3-month and 1 year and 10-year goals? And ultimately, how does this project increase our profits? If you can't answer those things, you've got a question, is it actually a worthwhile project to go into? Now, the profit one is an interesting one because some things aren't directly related to profits, but if they actually help to increase client satisfaction, you're going to get more referrals, you're going to get higher lifetime value. So even some things that aren't obviously directly related to profits should be or can be. If it's about improving the way we work like this is going to ultimately make my staff happier, make us do better work, focus on the right things, and all of that is going to help us to retain staff longer, keep good talent in, which means we deliver better services, and then ultimately, in knock-on effect, we have more profit. So the next thing we want to know is who is involved in this, the internal users and the external users, and then what problems for each of those user groups does this project solve, and what solutions or what benefits, do they get from the project as well? So those are often the reverse of each other, but it's useful just to spell them out so it's really clear that when we finish this project, there's going to be tangible benefits that overcome real life problems we're already experiencing. Next, what is the high level solution? You've probably got ideas of this already. You've probably thought about this, lying in bed at night, going for a run, sitting in the car. You've already got ideas. What is it you see right now as being the solution? It can be quite vague if you really don't know. And in this case, it's like, well, the solution we've found comes from a book I read. I don't know how we're actually going to do it yet, but I want to do it. I want to get I want to get everything in this book into what we do every day. And that literally was the high level overview of this project. Next, what the key elements of this project that make it remarkable. And for us, for this, it's about turning that book into daily practice, daily routine that is just part of our culture, and then sharing that with our clients. So as we improve the way we work, we improve the coaching that we can do because we coach people how to work better. By improving the way we work, we'll ultimately pass it on to our clients. They'll be happier and hopefully stay for longer and refer more people. And so that's how this project is remarkable for us. Next, are the resources available? Do you have the right team? Do you have the right knowledge? Do you have enough money? Do you have time to do it? Do you have all the prerequisite software apps that you need to actually deliver this project? Is there anything else you should be putting aside to make room for this project? Have you got time to actually have a meeting to be able to drive this project forward? Who's going to be in that meeting? Are they available too? So answering these questions ahead before you kick off means that project won't just stall in the early stages, and you'll actually have the resources put aside. That may mean putting this off for a few weeks or months, next quarter maybe. If this is we should be really setting our goals for the quarter, the beginning of the quarter, and not introducing new stuff in. So even if this idea comes to light, you think, look, I want to do this brainstorm, I want to get this project vision board done now, it doesn't mean you have to start it today. Once this vision board is done, it's there to be used at any time in the future when you have got the resources. So we have many more vision boards than live projects, or even many more vision boards than projects we've ever started, because sometimes we'll go through this and then we'll balance up against other projects and other demands on resources and realize it's not as high a priority, and therefore it gets parked. I don't believe that's wasted work at all. It's really valuable because it keeps me focused and keeps me thinking I'm actually on the right track. I'm doing the right things, and also my team as well. And lastly, how are we going to measure success? How are we going to know that when we get to the end of this project, that we've actually achieved what we set out to do? Now, this great if you can think of KPIs at this stage, brilliant. If not, that's not to be expected, because if this is a development project, you actually, as you get through it, you'll realize what the actual metric should be that you're going to be measuring, and then therefore you can update that later. Once you've got that, you should now be pretty convinced that this is a great project or not for you to crack on with. And if it is a great project, we want to then think, what are the stages of this particular project we're going to go through? How do we make something, phase one, or call it a sprint if you like agile terminology, at the end of the first phase, what can we deliver in order to get value from the work we've already done, even if we don't continue anymore? Because it may be you get to stage one and there's other demands on resources, some other priorities come up, and you've got to park this for a bit. So we want to make something tangible, deliverable, valuable to your business in order for you to make sure you're actually getting a good bang for your buck on the work that you do. And also, as I said before, it means there's a big sense of reward and achievement for your staff. You can have a little woohoo party for getting to the end of the stage, and it keeps people motivated. Go through that and break it up into the big picture stages. You don't need detail at this point. That can come in the real detailed planning when you're actually really getting into it. And knowing what's going to happen in stage 3, 4, 5 is irrelevant when you're in stage 1. Just get to the end of stage 1. That's your first goal. And then you can then look at, okay, what's next as you go through it. Planning too far ahead when you really haven't got started with something is, again, something I've done badly in the past, wasted huge amounts of time, and then never actually implemented any of the stuff I put in my initial plan, because things change as you learn, as you go through. Now, I said at the beginning of this episode that using this vision board in this way is different. And here's how, in this particular project, where we're going through a book, which is something that you will probably do many times once you get into this habit. This book is about the book's called It's Okay to Manage Your Boss, as I mentioned before, and it gives a set of frameworks, a set of rules, a set of advice in order to empower your team to get what they need from you as the leader or the manager to do better work. And so this book is broken down, into different sections and different areas. And so the outcome of this initial project is to create the projects which we will then implement all the content of the book. Because if we try to do it all in one go, which is actually how we started this before we realized actually this is a big thing, we need to actually, a bigger project than we thought. So we then went to break this down into projects. And after the initial reading of the book, which we did as a team, everybody's going through it. We're about halfway through at the moment. And we're creating projects as we go, as we come up with, okay, that's a really good thing. We want to capture that. We want to bring that into our business. So, for example, in this particular project, we're going to create a new vision board, I should say, for each of these projects. We've got a project planning and implementation framework. We've got a managing yourself framework, a managing your boss framework, a team management framework, and a business as usual framework. Those are, from the first half of the book, the areas which we realize we need to go deep on. We need to put resources aside. We need to have the same stages. So for each of those projects, we're going to create the whole vision board process out again. So this first project, which is reading the book and coming up with the sub-projects, is all about creating the work going forward in subsequent projects. That's where this differs, but it's incredibly powerful, because in the past, we've tried to just take on a whole book. Or we've tried to take on, say, for example, I was speaking to a client yesterday about using this technique, and we've used it before successfully. We're rolling out software, and he's just looking at an app called Fresh Suite, which is a series of apps for sales and marketing and chat. And he's currently looking at one called Fresh Desk, which is all about chat and support functionality and knowledge base and FAQs and AI sort of stuff. And so looking at that from the outside, it's like, yeah, great, I want this in my business. But I don't really know what it is yet, because I've not actually started using it. And so the initial project, I said, for him isn't to go in and say, right, the goal is to get this done. The initial project is to go and research the app, find out what could be done, break that down into projects, prioritize those projects, and then do a deep vision board onto each one. So if he goes through and realizes, okay, well, there's a AI chat functionality, there's an FAQ, there's a knowledge base, there's whatever. You can say, well, the most important for me is the knowledge base. And it could be, is that internal knowledge base, is that external knowledge base? It could be separate projects, it could be part of the same project. And then you go, okay, cool. For that project, what is my vision? What do I see the benefits of? How does it reach our goals? All the things I discussed a minute ago. Go for that, go into the detail on that project, create into phases, and then go through that process for that project, and then move on to the next part of the puzzle. So breaking this very big project down into smaller projects by having a project in order to figure out what those sub-projects should be. Hopefully that makes sense. So this is incredibly useful, as I said, for getting your team to implement the great teachings in so many books that you may read and think, oh, this is fabulous. I want this in my business. But then if you empower them to read the book and work as a team to create vision boards, as I did in this example, and then off the back of that, create smaller projects, and then repeat the same process in the small projects before you get started, you've got a far higher chance of actually getting stuff implemented that makes positive change in your business, and you're getting value from all the work you're doing, rather than just saying to your team, hey, go and read that book and then implement what you've learned. Because that's what I've done in the past and it didn't work. This does. And I'm super excited to share it with you, and hopefully it will make a massive, massive impact in your business too. If you found this episode helpful and useful, please leave us a review, some ratings, some stars, hit subscribe, hit like, and all those fancy things that we all, which I'd love you to do. And I will see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.